but all right, okay. Well, thank you very much for having me here. It's an honor and great to meet you. As Les said, I've been with you on Skype for a couple of times, and now I'm actually here live, so that's fantastic. And let's start a little bit about CleanTech. I'm from Sweden, so how many of you have been to Sweden? Hands up. Oh, there's some potential. There's a lot of you who has to come and visit in Sweden. And Sweden is a great country. We have a very diverse climate, as you know. It's very cold in Sweden. And Sweden's history when it comes to clean tech and renewable energy is based on that we're a nature-based high-tech society. We have the forests, we have the mines, and that's the foundation for what we have sort of developed into a very developed democratic welfare society, and that also driven our investments and development of renewable energy. And Chris, you mentioned a number of New York's renewable here, and I know that in Sweden now this year we're coming up to 50% renewable already this year. And that's the number and targets for 2020 for EU and Europe. So we're quite ahead on the renewables investments, and they're expecting that we're going to reach 75% by 2020. So I challenge New York, Chris. Let's get into a race or competition, help each other in renewable, and share some good ideas. So. CleanTech Green Solutions, I've practically been on tour since 2010, and now I'm here today, so that's great. And the magazines that Les talks about, I will send some more. It's Green Solutions, it's the magazines you have on the right. So they are online, so I'm sure that Les can distribute them to all of you. They're easy to read, and you will find great inspiration, great good examples of renewable all type of clean tech solutions. So some words from the sponsors, very important, who actually is making it possible that I'm here. You can also go back and have a look a little bit more of what these companies are doing. I will give one example of these companies a little bit later. So the objective to actually going around the world and doing this is to find partners, and I found Les, and I found the iCAN network activities here, and that's how you can grow, you can develop, you can work together with projects, renewable energy, housing, green building. So what CleanTech Region does, helping cleantech companies from Sweden finding projects. And I hope that we, together with you, can find some projects here in New York, particularly in housing, where we're looking at building zero energy houses. So it's been an ongoing tour, and you can see the countries. Now I've been here. I was in New York 2 weeks ago. I've been to San Diego. How many have been to San Diego? Yeah. They have challenges. They have challenges with water. They're having this aqueduct I learned from San Francisco, and someone said that up to 50% of the energy cost goes, the electricity cost goes to transport water. But there was a professor in Santa Barbara who said that was 20%, but that's already a lot. So 20% of the electricity to actually transport water. So we need to look at solutions to address that. So this is three things that I'm going to focus on. So that's the biggest business opportunity that we have, and it's also the biggest challenge. That is food, it's energy efficiency, and it's water. And why is it those three? Anyone who knows why? Raise your hands. You see, information and education is the most important thing when it comes to the climate challenge and the climate threat. Why is it water, energy efficiency, and food? The real climate threat is the growth of population. We're growing today with about almost 400,000 every day. And we're going to do that to 2050. That's the numbers who are there. 400,000 every day who needs somewhere to live. They need a house. Houses consume 40% of our energy. 40%. They need food, all these 400,000. And for food, you need more energy, which is good for you, Chris. You can live with more energy. And you need more water. And you know that we have a challenge with water as well. And secondly, you need food. So this is a picture from where I am. If you're coming to Sweden, Mi Casa, SOS Casa, it's in the middle of Sweden. It's called Jämtland. Oh, nowhere. Thank you, Les. So it's middle of nowhere. And, you know, we're about 9 million people in Sweden, so we're sort of far less than in New York. So this is in the middle of nowhere, and the girl you're seeing there, she's fantastic. She's one of the best on organic, locally produced food. She's a multi-award winner. We have one of the top 5 restaurants in our region when it comes to local produced food. So only that is interesting enough to come and visit. So you're all now invited. You know, in March next year, we're planning for a World CleanTech Forum. So that will be the reason for you to put together a delegation, Les, from here. Come and visit us. We will enjoy great food. We're going to have great fun in the snow because it's going to be cold. Like, like minus 20, minus 30. Who knows? Okay, so what's the 3 most important opportunities and challenges? Food, water, housing. Energy efficiency, sorry. And also, CleanTech still is a learning curve. It's a learning curve. What is CleanTech? But it comes from United States. It was 2005, Neil Dykman, Jane Capital, who sort of set the CleanTech word. Clean technology is solutions that are better for the environment and for yourself. But I would say CleanTech is job. And what is it that we need? It's job. Job creation. That's what CleanTech is. Okay, so we're here today. It's the 15th of May, and it's exciting times. We have an announcement today. So are you excited? Good, good, good. Drum wheel. Drums, 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 drums. So, for immediate release today, I'm very proud and honored to present that iCAN-Global and CleanTech Region are joining forces and going to work together strategically to actually bring more innovative green solutions to the world and exchange between Sweden and United States. So we want to build a bridge between United States and Sweden, and that's worth an applause. Thank you. And there was the slow animation, as you can see. So you can all read it, but this is announced today, and I think we're press releasing today, Les? Yeah, so it's press releases going out, so we hope that we're going to get high recognition on that. And I've been hammered Swedish media this night as well, so I hope that it will get recognition and that it also gets out now. I've sent out these live links around in the social media. So it's not any bridge from here, but I think it's a symbol that we want to build bridges between US and Sweden and the world. To read more and find more, you can Google me and you will find connect with me, connect on LinkedIn, connect on Facebook, so we can share ideas and we can have contact. I mentioned from the beginning, you can go in and you will save the presentation, but practically and simply, I'm a promoter, I'm a matchmaker. It's not in love, but it's in CleanTech. So it's in the most important area for us ahead. And a little word from our sponsors again. Okay, that was good. I'm going to give you an example. This is a number of local examples. Energy efficient houses. And today, you know, EU is actually from 2020, you're not allowed to build anything else than 0 houses. houses that doesn't consume energy. So there's already a change in that, where you see the house on the left-hand side, newly built house in glass, recycled glass. You're building the foundation, walls, and the roof. So you're building a climate screen. So that house consumes 5,000 kilowatt hours per year, but it produces 6,500, so it's giving back to the grid. So it's a plus house, and this is possible to build today. The important building green buildings is that you get lower maintenance and lower running costs. Though it's a little bit higher investment cost in the beginning, but already the first year you will save 10% on that investment. And banks and insurance companies in Sweden now are giving lower interest rates, better premiums. I know there's bankers and financiers here. This would be an exciting, interesting project to see if we can start that here. You have solar energy. I spoke with some guys here before. We have one of really interesting solar energy company, an award-winning company in our region as well, that we would like to find project manufacturer here in New York for the States. Maybe Chris, you can be sort of a initiator. We can look at solar energy. Yeah, I'm confident that could be interesting. There's large investments in wind, still a lot, 20 billion in our areas investing, and that's the industry who are driving the wind investments, because a third of their energy cost is on the bottom line, so they are doing big investments. So I'm going to give you one great example. Ventilation, is that important? Hello? Ventilation is very important, yeah. And it's very expensive. And it's very environmental, not the existing ventilation systems. They are very expensive, and it's not, the air is maybe not the best. So this is actually a NASA-developed solution called levande filter in Swedish, living filter. So you can actually, they developed it to have when they were sending up the shuttles. So you don't need to have any, you have living plants. And it was a Swedish professor who actually brought this and developed it to the solution that it is today. And the example you can see there is been around for 15 years, and it's still the same plants. And with living filter, this is an illustration how you can see how it works. So the air comes in from the top. The air and the particles that you have, silica, cancerogenic particles that are not good in the air, get stuck on the plants. Then you have a shower system in the cabinet, actually showering the plants, and the particles gets down in the soil, and it gets taken care of the natural way. Then you have a fan in the bottom, which actually creates the air to circulate. So out in the bottom there will be pure, clean, lovely oxygen coming out. So this saves energy. It creates better health, because you get a very great indoor environment. And think of older buildings. How many older buildings do we have here where you have really terrible ventilation? Schools, public buildings, everywhere. So it's not very great environment. So this could be a solution for that. It's lovely and great to look at plants as well. And the economy is much better. It's up to 60% savings in the energy cost. And you will also have a lower environmental impact if you look in comparing traditional ventilation systems to living filter from the manufacturing side. So this, like the Kinder eggs, this the three great things compared to traditional ventilation. So really would like to find a project here. So come and talk to me after this. Is there something going on here? Is there an old building? Is there a school? Let's do it. I've told you about this. You can go back and look at the slides, but this is the big challenge and the biggest business opportunity. We're growing with 400,000 people a year. It's an amazing opportunity. And the market for CleanTech is tremendous numbers. If you look at that, if you want to have more information about that, you can come back to me and I can provide you with the facts and the details about it. I know that it actually is more now, but this is the biggest business opportunity that there is ahead of us. So I'm really glad that we're now starting to work together, Les, and announcing this today. Blue economy, how many is familiar with that? Anyone? It's Günther Pauli. You can Google him and look. He started in the 80s by Ecover. He started with environmental friendly cleaning products very early. He's a founder of Günther, G-U-N-T-E-R, Pauli, P-A-U-L-I, Günther Pauli. He's a tremendous guy. He launched Blue Economy. That's 100 innovations selected out of 2,000 that are going to create 100 million jobs in 10 years' time with those 100 innovations. And it's mimicking the nature. It's like biomimicry. So you were looking at vortex stream for water purification. You're looking at mimicking the spider webs, and you implement nature-based solutions into technology. Very exciting, and the right way to go. So this is happening now. Can you feel that we're all in the middle? This is the paradigm shift happening for us right now. We're all stuck here in Grand Canyon. Can you feel it? Yeah, so we're leaving the old economy. The old economy was on the left side, and the new economy was on the right side. So they talk about the old economy is the fifth wave. You know, the industrial evolution, technology, internet. Where are we taking off? Where are we going? We're going to the sixth wave on the other side of the Grand Canyon, where we're looking at sustainability. We're looking at authenticity, honesty, new business models, looking into new innovations. How are we going to make the money? How are we going to look on earnings? They talk about, are we going to talk about maximizing shareholder value? Is that sort of the ongoing, continuous, traditional ways of doing business? I came from San Francisco, and it was exciting to see that the big VCs, the big investors, do you know what they're going into now? Food, local produced organic food. That's what they are targeting now. And we're talking about the real big investors in Silicon Valley. So that says something. That says something, and that supports what I'm telling you on this screen. We have got a lot of awards. I'm not going to tire you with that. You can go in and find more about it. But we were elected one of the most innovative CleanTech regions 2010 already. So with that, I want to thank you all. I want to thank you, Les, for giving me this opportunity to be here and presenting for all of you. And please come up with questions. Please come up with projects, ideas, connect. Thank you.
Any questions for Lars? Steve. So the question is, what is his biggest problem in getting the CleanTech message out?
Oh, that's very clear. It's clear as water. It's information and education. That's it. It's everyone are aware, but we really don't know why. So we need to start the biggest campaign, education and information, why we have to change. That's the biggest, most important.
You know, it was interesting. I recently had a conversation with a group in Moscow, and we had a discussion about CleanTech. And I said, well, is CleanTech a factor in Russia? And the answer came back with a resounding no. Everyone thinks it's too cold. The government controls the energy, and all the municipalities buy from the government, and it's a restricted community, And therefore, the limitations are there, and the population doesn't really understand what clean tech is, what sustainability is, why efficiency and renewables are going to be so important. Gas is 30 cents a gallon. That's not really an issue. But the average length of automobile ownership is 18 years. So they don't change cars very often. So those cars, once they start deteriorating, just pollute more and more and more, and nobody really cares because nobody really knows. It's the education factor. So that was the explanation for that. Any other questions for Lars? Sarah? Well, the question is from our colleague Elton in South Africa about CleanTech.
Oh, it's a great question, great question. Thank you, Elton, for that question. Africa, actually, in up to 2035, they are planning for 800 million cities. 800 million cities. They must be sustainable. My big, great mentor, Anders Nyquist, he's just been to South Africa, and he's been involved in this team that are sitting and working. How on earth are we going to cater for that growth of population in Africa? So it's 800 million cities. So you have to really think how you're going to handle that. And they're going from about 1 billion today to 1.8 billion to 2035.
Well, that's a lot of growth, and we know Africa represents a significant growth community. Ethan. It's a tough question to repeat, but knock yourself out here.
Okay, the question, as I understood, is a little around what effects will it be from the climate? Okay. Yeah. The climate threat is real. What we're in general talking about is the temperature increase and the carbon dioxide, but the real climate threat is the growth of populations. But we have to start working with solutions, so we're actually minimizing the opportunities. But coming to that question, you have a lot of lobbying today that is taking place in this area. So what is true and what is not true? I heard numbers that in the United States alone, there is lobbying, the lobbying on energy, food, agriculture, and finance is higher than all renewable projects in the world. So what is really true or not? But we know that the real scientist who's in there, it's a real threat. But what you have to look at, I got a real interesting reflection where I were in Kenya and presenting CleanTech in Kenya, in Machakos. And I sat next to one of the best green consultants in Kenya, and we were supposed to discuss this, your question. And I thought, okay, what are we going to do? I said, and he said, Lars, Mother Earth is going to survive us. Mother Earth is going to survive us. But, Lars, we have to stop building monuments. We have to start action. We have to start thinking ahead. We have to start implement technologies. Look at the Inca. Look at the Egypts, the pyramids. Mother Earth is going to survive us. And that was a really, really good comment.
Rick? You're going to have to come on up. Come on up. Well, we got a whole online. Well, it's okay. We like.
Okay, thank you. So, well, still, non-renewable natural resources are still non-renewable. So they are still going to die out at some point. So there's only so much oil, and even so much natural gas, even though that's you know, we've discovered more of it. So they will run out even if the climate does cool. Secondly, these things are still despoiling our climate, and they're still, you know, I'm still poisoning us in various different ways. So they're still not good for human health. The way speaking about food, the way that highly commercialized food is bad for people and may have causes related to autism and other things. So I think there's still a good argument to make, and I think the biggest argument is how does it hurt to build renewable energies? What is the downside? There is no downside. It creates jobs, it's good for the environment, and it's exciting, and our young people are excited about it. So anyway, that's my point.
Well, you know, we're in a very interesting phase. If you look back, there's been criticism, especially here in the United States, of governmental support of CleanTech projects, not all of which have worked, but not all of anything has worked 100%. You know, back in the last century and before that, there were subsidies for steel and coal and oil. Well, those subsidies remain. So that's been a long time for those subsidies, and no one seems to be all up in arms. So now we're going through another phase where we're introducing energy such as natural gas, which today has gained a lot of favor. New technologies, sort of fracking, love it or hate it, you know, it's part of the lexicon. And the goal here is a paradigm shift ultimately towards renewables, because the fossil fuels aren't going to last indefinitely, and the production of new energy is actually critical to certain parts of the globe. It's the only way they can survive. Addressing my friend Elton in South Africa, when we had a long discussion concerning just this topic, you know, he was telling me how many of the citizens don't have a continual supply of energy. How can we bring renewable energy to the people so they can build the right kind of housing, support population, support growth, support entrepreneurship in communities that are sporadic? Well, renewable energy could play a huge part of that. You know, one of our companies here, represented Jim Cranston, is Avivid in water purification. Water purification can turn dirty stream water into potable water, into drinking water. Well, that's huge for a community like that. And if we can provide good solar technologies and good, affordable, efficient housing, you know, those are the steps that becomes a step. You know, I'm always amazed when you see the introduction of ideas and technologies, and it's like a blip on the radar screen. Tomorrow it's gone. Here everybody's talking about it, but tomorrow it's old news. Well, this is news that has to remain, and if it's up to us, you know, we're gonna keep driving this stake in the ground until there's no choice but to do renewables. Steve, we have one more question here. Steve,
I want to continue on that one first, if that's okay. Yeah. I mean, there's some really interesting facts that needs to be known, because if you're looking on renewables today, 5 minutes, I think it's 5 minutes of sun will be enough for all the energy need we have. So shouldn't we go all in and there are investments and there are projects doing that into solar. Then another interesting thing is when we talk about, everybody is saying, oh, we're not going to subsidize renewables. In Sweden, there's a big thing about wind power. No, we're not going to subsidize. Stop subsidizing windmills, wind parks. But fossil fuel and oil still today gets 12 times more subsidies. So we need leadership, strong leadership, leaders that dare, mayors, corporations with money, passion, drive. And we have to do something. We have to leave the blah blah. I say blah blah because we can't meet in those meetings and saying yeah, 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 and then we go home. We need leadership. I think that's the most important.
Good. We have one more question from Steve, and then we'll try and squeeze it. Go ahead, Steve.
Mine is more a comment on what's being said. You just touched on what drives everything is profit. What drives the large corporate leaders is profit. A couple of years ago, at least in the U.S., some of the corporates started taking this, but they used it as a PR tool. They didn't really use it as a leader for their investments. So it became, we're green, so buy us, instead of actually investing in making green. The way to sustain this movement is to get the big corporates to find truly profitable ways to make money, and it will not go away then.
Well, it's interesting. You know, those are great comments, and the sustainability is dependent on sponsorship. It's dependent on all of us pulling together to do that. I'm going to have to cut it off because we have one more speaker, but well, go ahead, Hank.
And I'll try to make it quick. Lars, when Mr. Fry was speaking, you asked a question about cooling the ocean water. There was no solution there, but you touched on a subject that is probably hidden and one of the most important things going. Can you actually approach the scale necessary to do any long-term good?
Yes, you can. Actually, right now, there's a Swedish company in Hawaii that is implementing seawater cooling and planning to cool Honolulu. This can work in New York, this can work in San Francisco, San Diego, it can work in all cities where you have seawater. And you just put some things in the water.
Capturing the thermal energy for use, or is it, because you know there's a lot of methane in the ocean that's frozen at the bottom.
Yeah, it's the cooling. So you have like just pipes down, and you bring up the cool water, and cooling is 6 times more costlier than heating. So that's why cooling is so efficient.
Good job. All right.